Any other questions? Or anyone from the back? Or should we stick to this table until we've got
all? John McInnes from the Department of Communities and Social Inclusion. While you've got the small community, that's where your work's been focused on, I don't think we seem to be talking about sort of the big elephant in the room is how do we actually work with cities? How do you work with communities in cities? How do you get them to change? How do you get them to change their behaviour? And without going on too much about it, have we got any ideas that have come out from the research as to how you can do that?
Maybe I can take that. One of our study sites was Port Adelaide Field, which is known as rural, part of the metropolitan area, and that area had the least amount of social participation and social networking, which is especially with the Aboriginal population, which in other areas shows more support within each other. And the last 3 days I was in Sydney with a workshop with communities and government and local organizations, and I saw quite a few very good examples of creating social support systems with finding the leaders in the communities, finding the volunteers in the communities and building that social capital around them. And they had quite a few good examples which could be used probably in this area as well.
One of the things that I've been working on, which is not related to our Urbana project, is the idea of looking at communities of practice in how, which is originally derived from like a teaching and learning space, but apply an environmental decision-making space in something like climate change. Looking at, because trying to find what a community is such a difficult thing when you're looking at urban settlements like cities. How do you work that out? How do you get your hand what that community is? So if there's multiple communities. One of the things I've been working with, for example, coastal management, maybe work with the community practice of surf clubs that get together around coastal revegetation and try and build a critical mass in those sub-communities of interest in lots of different dimensions, which is particularly appropriate in an urban context because we have so many multiple versions of that, which they might not be looking at particular climate change or something, but they could be mobilised around a certain practice that they do, like surfing or whatever, to invest in that in a positive way. That also brings them together in that urban environment.
Yeah, can I add up something here? So for the core community project we're doing, which is funded by NCCARF, we identify people who are at risk. And the next job we're going to do, get involved some involvement of local councils. For example, we try to work together with Port Adelaide and field councils to do some sort of intervention job. Of course, this kind of work has been supported from Department of Community Service and SA Health. And in another grant application we did this year, we just finished that grant application. That is try to, in the health intervention for old people or people with chronic disease, we try to get involved local GP. So we're working together with 3 practices here in Adelaide, another 3 practices in Sydney, and 1 from rural area of South Australia, which we think came from Port Augusta, to see what kind of help local GPs can provide during their diagnosis and treatment. How they help to provide information to the people who need help. So that is another mechanism we can implement with our community.
Great. Any other questions? While anyone thinks of one, I thought I'd also just mention that what we're also doing at NCCARF at the moment, which are projects that are nearly coming to an end, are trying to integrate all the NCCARF projects that have been done and other climate adaptation research that's come out in the last couple of years, and try and pull up a report from each stage that will look at the relevance and the information that's useful to that particular state from all of the NCCARF projects. And so while we are funding projects, say, around social issues and cities in other states, we'll see how we can apply that information to a South Australian context. And working with Ryan and his team to get the team who's doing that work to come in the fairly near future. I think this month, some time for a workshop with people in government to say, okay, what are your policy needs, what are your management needs, and how can we apply this information to support you? And I think that would be a terrific outcome for each stage, because not only will it show what we've done to date and how useful it is, but also where the gaps are and what needs to be done into the future. And I think what we've learned so far, even though we funded 144 projects, is the more we've learned, what we need to know a lot more, and the challenges that face us. And I think you know, we just had to listen to all the presentations today and see that interactivity between things. You don't, every time we've talked about climate adaptation and the environmental climate adaptation and people, we find that they're interconnected in a very strong way, and it's how we actually use that information and use it to make the right decisions. That's our next big challenge, I think. And, so I'd like you to all join with me and thank our panel for